My crowning in Shaolin Temple, John Steve crowned me in Shaolin Temple when I win the clash. Rankin Trevor was my teacher them time.
What do you get when you mix raw talent, street swagger, and a voice that could slice through steel? You get Super Cat, the man who didn't just ride rhythms, he owned them. Once crowned the Don Dada of dancehall, Super Cat lit up the 80s and 90s with his unmistakable sound and untouchable flow. But then, he disappeared. No farewell tour, no final album, just silence. So, what really happened to the dancehall icon who helped shape an era? In this video, we're breaking down the highs, the hits, and the mystery that still has fans asking, where's Super Cat now? Cockburn to Cell Block D. If you were to bottle raw talent, fire it through a mic, and set it loose in the heart of Kingston, you'd probably end up with something that sounds a lot like Super Cat. Before he became the Don Dada, before the accolades and international stardom, William Anthony Maraw was just another wiry kid navigating the concrete maze of Cockburn Pen. This was an area where zinc roofs crackled under the Caribbean sun, and gunfire was as common as church bells. But even in that tangle of streets and struggle, his voice was too loud to be silenced. Born in 1963 to a Jamaican mother and an Indo-Jamaican father, Super Cat's lineage was as blended as his musical style. His childhood in Seabright Gardens, known to the streets as Glockburn Pen, was steeped in the rhythmic vibrations of Kingston's pioneering sound systems and the fierce resilience of a neighborhood that had raised its share of reggae giants. His mother, Eulalie, hailed from St. Anne, coincidentally also the birthplace of Bob Marley, while his father Alfred came from the Indo-Jamaican community of Bailey's Vale. Together, they raised a household of 10 children, where money was scarce, but culture was rich. Young Anthony was out and about by the age of 10, often hanging around Bamboo Lawn, a local dance venue, absorbing the vibrations of the Soul Imperial sound system. One night, Ranking Trevor, an early DJ legend and East Indian pioneer, handed him the mic. That single moment sparked a lifetime of music. Ranking Trevor was the first one who instilled the work in Super Cat would later say, and that work would become his escape hatch. Initially going by the name Catarock, the rising DJ would morph into Super Cat, also calling himself Wild Apache and Super Cat the Indian, nodding to his heritage in a culture that rarely highlighted Indo-Caribbean identities. In a country where colonial history had sown division between Black and Indian communities, Super Cat's upbringing in Cockburn Pen showed him another way: community, collaboration, and rhythm. His first single, Mr. Walker, dropped in 1981, thanks to producer Winston Riley. Before that, he'd taken his shot with famed producer Joe Gibb, but got turned down. Maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Jamaica didn't need another crooner, it needed a fire starter. But before the music could fully take off, the streets came calling. By 1980, Jamaica was boiling with political unrest. What had been a shaky peace between rival political parties was falling apart. The garrisons of Kingston, neighborhoods packed with armed loyalists from either side, turned into battlegrounds. Caught in this tidal wave of violence was young Anthony Maraw. Living in Arnett Gardens, more famously called Concrete Jungle, Super Cat found himself arrested during a military-style sweep of his neighborhood. He was only 17. The charge? Robbery? And illegal firearm possession? Accusations he insists to this day were baseless. But innocence didn't matter. They just took everybody from the community, he recalled. It didn't matter if you were innocent or guilty, I was scooped amongst them. 2 months in general penitentiary could have crushed him. Instead, it carved him into something sharper. Behind the bars of Cell Block D North, his fellow inmates gave him the name that would carry him across the globe: Super Cat. The name was likely inspired by Clive Super Cat Lloyd, the legendary West Indies cricket captain. But while Lloyd dodged flying cricket balls, Super Cat was learning to sidestep real bullets. The prison experience left its mark. It wasn't just about survival, it was a catalyst. With his dreams of being a jockey dashed by his growing frame, music became the only viable way out. Encouraged by mentors like Nicodemus and Early B, and armed with the mic skills Ranking Trevor had once sparked in him, Super Cat came out of prison ready to dominate. And dominate he did. His unique blend of swagger, rapid-fire delivery, and cultural authenticity made him a standout in the dancehall scene. Unlike many of his peers, he proudly repped his Indian heritage, turning what some saw as a cultural outlier into a symbol of defiance. His persona, part streetwise philosopher, part lyrical gunslinger, was grounded in real experience, not manufactured image. It wasn't long before Supercat's name was mentioned, alongside reggae's royalty, but unlike others who softened their edges for mainstream appeal, he stayed sharp, raw, unfiltered, and electrifying. His rise wasn't just musical, it was political. Every bar, every battle cry, every self-proclaimed title, Don Dada, the Indian, the bareback rider, was a line drawn in the sand, asserting his place in a space that didn't always know what to do with someone like him. Debut LP and Another Suspicion. Supercat didn't just enter dancehall, he ambushed it. With a swagger forged in Kingston and a voice that could cut through the thunder of a 10,000-watt sound system, the man-born William Marrock redefined what it meant to be a DJ. But behind the gold chains, the raspy voice, and the rebel charisma, there's a story much deeper, tangled in gunsmoke, sound clashes, and global influence. After a stint in prison, Cat returned in 1984, ready to eat microphones for breakfast. He joined Early B on the Kilimanjaro sound system, and wasted no time proving he wasn't just another mic man. Where Early B was scholarly, Cat was street. Early dropped history, Cat dropped heat. It was a classic good cop, bad cop energy, except in this case, neither was playing good. Together they created a dynamic that helped to elevate Kilimanjaro to one of the top sound systems in Jamaica. That same year, Supercat helped launch the career of Sister Nancy, who would go on to become the first female dancehall DJ with international recognition. But Cat didn't stay in the shadows. His own career skyrocketed when he dropped C-Boop's Day in 1985, an album built around the wildly popular single Boops. The track wrote a slick update of Marcia Griffiths' Feel Like Jumping, crafted by the production duo Steely and Clevie. Cat's lyrics sparked a nationwide obsession with the idea of sugar daddies, or boops. The tune sold 10,000 copies in just 2 weeks and started a musical gold rush of answer records and imitations. Supercat didn't just make hits, he made hits that made history. Boops would go on to influence hip-hop, with KRS-One sampling its bass line for The Bridge Is Over and mimicking Cat's signature cadence in 9mm Goes Bang. Meanwhile, Cat was reshaping dancehall from the inside. With the Stereo Mars sound system, he linked up with legends like Nicodemus and selectors like Danny Dredd. Together, they ushered in a new era of DJ-selector interplay, chopping up rhythms and turning live sets into rhythmic masterpieces. When Cat dropped Mud Up, it didn't just ride the new digital wave, it surfed it into the future. The style would be copied by countless artists, including a young Buju Banton, whose breakout Stamina Daddy mimicked Cat's bold delivery and lyrical finesse. By the late 1980s, Cat was spending more time in New York, where his influence only grew. His wild Apache persona became a movement, inspiring artists like Junior Cat, Apache Scratchy, and even UK-based Apache Indian, who fused Bhangra and dancehall into a new genre known as Bhangra Muffin. His global reach was undeniable, yet Cat remained grounded in his roots, and the streets didn't forget him. Then came June 24th, 1991. It was just another afternoon on Church Avenue in Brooklyn, until it wasn't. Nitty Gritty, a respected artist in his own right and a staple of the 1980s roots and dancehall scenes, was gunned down outside the Superpower record store. The alleged shooter? Supercat. What exactly happened has been clouded by rumor and retelling. Eyewitnesses have mostly remained silent, and street stories mutated over the years. But one witness, a then 12-year-old working at a nearby record shop, offered a rare account years later. According to this anonymous source, Cat was at the store when Nitty Gritty approached. An argument erupted. Gritty pulled a gun and aimed first, but it jammed. In that fateful moment, Cat pulled his own weapon and fired. By the time the witness returned to his own shop, the streets were already buzzing with news. Nitty Gritty was dead. No charges stuck to Cat. "It's luck that I'm here," he told journalist Rob Kenner a year later. "If you don't react, then you're gonna die." The court and the streets saw it as self-defense. Still, the event haunted the reggae community. As Stone Love's Wee Pow later said during a 95 live set, introducing a dubplate by the fallen singer, "The artist is dead and gone." It was a moment that could have ended Cat's career, or his life. Instead, it became a pivot. Just one day after the incident, on June 25th, Supercat turned 28. The bullet that missed became his unexpected birthday gift, a second chance. That same energy, the mix of danger, survival, and defiance, ran through his music. His Sweets for My Sweet LP, released in 1988, featured Mud Up and other dancehall staples. He formed his own label, Wild Apache Productions, ensuring that if anyone got paid, it was him. No more waiting on producers who forgot to send checks. By the 90s, Cat's reputation reached into the heart of the American hip-hop scene. He met Heavy D, a fellow Jamaican raised in Mount Vernon, New York. Through a mutual friend, producer Robert French, the two connected in a Bronx nightclub. Their collaboration birthed Big and Ready, a dancehall hip-hop hybrid that symbolized their brotherhood and the cultural bridge they both straddled. When Columbia Records signed Cat and released Dem No Worry We, featuring Heavy D, it was more than a track, it was a statement. Supercat wasn't just surviving anymore, he was thriving, transcending genres and pushing boundaries. Dancehall was never the same. From Kingston's rawest corners to Flatbush's front line, from dancehall pioneer to hip-hop collaborator, from near-death experiences to global stage dominance, Cat's journey is a saga of rhythm, resilience, and reinvention. The Wild Apache didn't just make hits, he made history. Remixes and passing the torch. You know you're operating on another level when surviving a daylight shootout doesn't end your career, it launches it. In '91, William Anthony Marog, better known as Supercat, emerged from a deadly confrontation outside Brooklyn's Superpower record shop, with his life intact, his legend magnified, and the streets buzzing. For most, a bullet might mean the end. For Supercat, it was merely a punctuation mark in a saga already written in fire. Despite being dropped from a coveted slot in the UK's One Love Peace concert that same year, the incident only deepened the mystique surrounding the Wild Apache. As the dust settled, Cat didn't lie low, he doubled down. He dropped Cabin Stabbin', a hilarious and irreverent collaboration with Nicodemus and Junior Demus that had listeners cracking up over tales of hotel room hijinks. The title track, part soundclash sparring, part "Yo, who locked me out the room?" hit a nerve, and it landed on Dancehall Style Volume 2, a compilation that broke barriers between the Caribbean diaspora and American college airwaves. That compilation didn't happen by accident. Behind the boards was Murray Elias, a club DJ and former Island Records rep who understood something major was bubbling. He tested dancehall's limits at hipster downtown clubs like Limelight and Peppermint Lounge, mixing it into sets of post-disco and early hip-hop. Elias knew Supercat was central to the sound's breakout moment. He tried to sign Cat to Profile Records multiple times, but the money never came. Meanwhile, another player was waiting in the wings, Maxine Stowe, niece of Studio One legend Coxsone Dodd, and one of the few industry insiders who could see what the majors couldn't. It was Maxine who eventually connected Supercat to Columbia Records, securing the deal that birthed the Don Dada album. Why the sudden interest? 2 words. SoundScan happened. For the first time, the industry could see actual sales data, and Elias's dancehall style volumes were moving units, over 250,000 each. Labels could no longer dismiss dancehall as a niche market. Add to that New York radio love from DJ Red Alert and WBLS's David Levy, and suddenly, dancehall wasn't knocking on the door, it was kicking it down. Cat didn't wait for a green light to start making moves. His song Nuff Man a Dead, a tribute to his late friend Tenor Saw, not only honored fallen icons like Jacob Miller and Free Eye, it also introduced a now iconic rhythm to the world, Fish Market. Steely and Cleavy's rolling, contrapuntal beat caught on with both Jamaican and Latin audiences. When Panamanian artists began remixing the track into their own Spanish-language versions, Supercat found himself at the root of reggaeton's origin story. And Cat wasn't just brushing shoulders with Latin tastemakers. Thanks to connections like Heavy D, he was mixing with hip-hop royalty too. At a club in the Bronx, he met Heavy D through reggae producer Robert French. That led to Big and Ready, a swaggering anthem that walked the tightrope between hardcore dancehall and New Jack Swing. Still, Cat stayed rooted in the Kingston trenches, releasing Don Dada, a warning shot to his challengers, and there were many. Ninja Man, once a protege and friend, had grown into a formidable foe, crowned the people's champ after a clash victory over Shabba Ranks at Sting 90. Cuddy Ranks, another battle-hardened mic warrior, was eager to dethrone the Apache. Even Louis Rankin, yes, Teddy Bruckshot from Belly, jumped in the ring, sparking a war of rhythms and reputations with his fiery track typewriter. Rankin's jab, "Easy Supercat, you a Don Dada," wasn't exactly a compliment. Behind the lyrics lurked associations with Jamaican underworld kingpins like Jim Brown and Vivian Blake, whose involvement in music and politics blurred lines that few wanted to acknowledge. The tension spilled into a legendary clash at Bronx Hotspot Act 3, just weeks before the Brooklyn shootout. Though Rankin's voice boomed, it was Cat's lyrical arsenal that earned the biggest forwards from the crowd. And then came the crown jewel, Sting 91. The most anticipated clash in dancehall history, pitting Supercat against Ninja Man on Boxing Day. As Ninja warmed up the crowd, Cat made his entrance like a warrior. "Warning, warning, the Apache is coming." The stadium shook. Though Ninja had home field advantage and rehearsed choruses, Cat's raw presence dominated the early rounds. Bottles flew, threats were made, lyrics turned to real danger. The clash ended not in victory, but in chaos, with Cat exiting the stage, warning he was armed. But even Ninja Man, forever claiming Sting's supremacy, would later admit that Cat made him tremble on that stage. "3 times Supercat make me shake," he told the press. After Sting, Cat didn't rant. He recorded. Ghetto Red Hot, Don Dada's lead single, was a scorcher, both musically and politically. The Apache turned street historian, reflecting on the 1980 Kingston political wars, referencing real battles, bodies, and survival. It wasn't braggadocio, it was testimony. Then came the remix by Salam Remy and Bobby Condors, fusing hip-hop drum breaks with Cat's patois flow in a gritty, distorted, revolutionary soundscape. This wasn't just dancehall, it was future jungle, raga hop, and inner-city gospel, all rolled into one. By '92, Supercat was everywhere, on the good, the bad, the ugly, and the crazy, alongside Nicodemus, Junior Demus, and Junior Cat. On remixes with Criss Cross, Jump, All Right, and collaborating with Heavy D again for Dem No Worry We. All this earned him the Source's Dancehall Artist of the Year in '93, but it was his appearance on the Dolly My Baby remix that proved to be the real game changer. The track, with appearances from Mary J. Blige, Third Eye, Puffy, and a hungry Brooklyn MC known as Biggie Smalls, marked a cultural turning point. Behind the remix was a young Sean Puffy Combs, then still shaking off intern dust at Uptown Records. He enlisted Jesse West to produce the remix, originally attempting a blend using the Pointer Sisters' Yes We Can. It didn't quite click with Supercat, but West had another idea, a funky, trippy loop from Herbie Hancock's Watermelon Man. With Cat's blessing, he re-recorded his vocals at a new tempo, and magic happened. In the remix video, shot in NYC's Moroccan-style Fez Lounge, Biggie spits his now iconic "I love it when you call me Big Papa," and Cat himself hands off a handkerchief-wrapped Glock to the rising star. The symbolism wasn't lost. This was more than a track. It was a passing of the torch. Puffy and Big can owe that shit to what Cat did for them, said Uptown's Matt X years later. And that's real. From Kingston's ghettos to Madison Square Garden, Supercat carried the voice of the yard with him. Whether clashing, collaborating, or crossing genres, he was always a step ahead, and the world was finally catching up. By the time the Don Dada cycle wrapped, one final track would crown the legend, Bad Boy, 2 words that would echo through the rest of the decade and beyond. Supercat didn't just survive '91, he defined it. Survivor's story. The lights dim in Harlem's Apollo Theater, and the energy shifts like the room knows what's about to happen. It's 23, and Club Quarantine, D-Nice's pandemic-born phenomenon, has finally landed in New York with its first live event. As Supercat steps onto the stage, Spliff Star barrels up the side stairs, panting out, "Cat Day Pawn It," before racing back to the VIP box to link up with Busta Rhymes. Together, they throw up salute signals and shout every line like churchgoers praising the gospel of Don Dada. This isn't just another performance, it's a resurrection, a coronation, a warning shot. Back in '92, journalist Rob Kenner ended a Vibe feature by wondering if Supercat would join the long list of fallen musical giants. But here we are, over 30 years later, and the man is still schooling crowds with the kind of authority only survivors earn. From Barclays Center to Radio City, his voice still slices through beats like a machete and sugarcane. When Supercat handed the mic to Biggie on the now iconic remix of Dolly My Baby, he wasn't just passing the torch. He was lighting a fire that would fuel Bad Boy, boost Puffy's career, and help shape the future of East Coast hip-hop. This was long before he'd top charts with Criss Cross, link with Sugar Ray, or walk away from a high-stakes deal with the Neptunes. The journey ahead was wild, a mix of triumphs, losses, walkouts, and reinventions. But even back then, Cat's place in music was already engraved in stone. That remix session was a turning point. The crossover from Kingston's clashing sound systems to the glossy but gritty rap scene of New York wasn't just strategy, it was spiritual. Puffy saw Cat as the missing puzzle piece for his vision, street credibility with global flavor. Cat, in turn, saw hip-hop as a cousin to dancehall, both born of struggle, resistance, and rhythm. So, when he teamed up with Heavy D Puff and a baby-faced Biggie for that posse cut, the video shoot in Manhattan's Time Cafe lounge sealed it. Puffy, broke but burning with ambition, pulled Biggie into the frame. His "I love it when you call me Big Papa" intro wasn't just clever, it was a seismic shift. Biggie's presence on that track, gun in hand, yes, that was real, backed by Cat's swagger, gave the streets and the boardrooms something they hadn't seen before. A seamless blend of hardcore dancehall and sharp Brooklyn storytelling. But Supercat wasn't about to become anyone's accessory. He continued blazing his own trail. His version of My Girl Josephine with Jack Radix appeared on the Pret-a-Porter soundtrack in '94. By '97, he was charting again, this time with pop rock outfit Sugar Ray on their #1 hit Fly. Whether with India Ari on Video or Jadakiss and the Neptunes on The Dawn of Dawns, Cat flexed versatility, never losing his signature edge. In 2004, he honored the death of his longtime road manager, Fred the Thunder Donner, with a massive tribute project featuring the likes of Nadine Sutherland, Sizzla, and Linval Thompson. He might vanish from the spotlight for spells, but make no mistake, Supercat never disappeared. In 2008, he headlined Best of the Best in Miami, alongside heavyweights like Buju Banton and Barrington Levy. A year later, he was back at Madison Square Garden. In 2012, his track Dance in a New York was sampled by Nas for The Dawn, introducing a whole new audience to the Wild Apache. He dropped in unexpectedly during Shaggy's set in 2013, just as previously unreleased tracks from his Star Trek sessions surfaced online. Fans devoured them. Then came the second wave, Trinidad's Reggae on the Bay in 2014, Jamaica's Reggae Sumfest in 2016, and in 2020, a hard-hitting return with Salam Remy on Push Time. The video, shot in Queens, was pure grit. In 21, he appeared at the Verzuz concert series at Barclays Center, sharing the stage with Wyclef, Conscience, and Baby Cham. And in 22, Supercat co-headlined Radio City Music Hall's Reggae Love Fest with Shabba Ranks. Let's be real, that's reggae royalty. You can't buy that lineup, you have to earn it. As influential as he's been, Cat's real legacy isn't just in the music he made, it's in the artists he inspired. Sean Paul calls him "me father inna de business," and he means it. Damian Marley's flow owes more to Cat than to Bob, and even Apache Indian helped carry Cat's DNA into UK Bhangra and Bollywood hits. The echoes of Cat's voice reach from Kingston to Bombay, from Brooklyn to Tokyo. His influence is baked into the very structure of today's global dancehall fusion. Without Supercat, there is no Sean Paul, no reggaeton boom, no Boops Redeem launching 1,000 redeems. Every DJ who spits with grit and melody is echoing the Wild Apache, even if they don't know it, and his roots run deep. His younger brother Junior Cat holds his own in the scene, and his cousin Marsha Griffiths, of Feel Like Jumping fame, helped inspire the rhythm that carried Cat's first breakout hit. His musical tree doesn't just have branches, it has entire forests growing from it. Maybe the best way to measure his impact isn't in awards or chart positions, but in the styles he birthed. If dancehall is a bloodline, Supercat is the ancestral DNA, a founding father, a musical Genghis Khan. So when he stepped back on stage at the Apollo, it was a homecoming. What's he up to now? When a photo montage of Supercat surfaced online with his song Rude Boy playing mournfully in the background, fans panicked. the whispers started fast. Did Supercat die? But if you thought the Don Dada had used up his last life, think again. He's good. He says he's got 9 lives, joked Thomas, the man behind Supercat's dubplate programs and head of the Jimmy Foundation Sound, in a recent statement to Dancehall Mag. According to Thomas, the rumors were just another hoax fueled by clout chasers looking for likes. We were just in Canada, he added, had a show with TJ, Version, and Ashana. We're coming back for Caravana on August 5th. So, to all the worried fans, relax. Supercat is alive, well, and booked. This isn't the first time death rumors have stalked the wild Apache. Back in 2012, news reports falsely claimed he had been shot and killed during a robbery in Brooklyn. Supercat himself watched from home as crowds gathered outside Kings County Hospital, expecting a body that was very much not his. Puffing on his spliff, he decided to let the noise fade while his music did the talking. Fast forward to 25, and Supercat is still making major moves. He was one of the standout performers at this year's BET Awards, which honored longtime collaborator Busta Rhymes. Whether headlining legacy shows, cutting fresh dub plates, or linking with fans on stage, Supercat's presence is proof that legends don't fade, they evolve. While the industry continues to pay homage to his influence, the Don Dada himself remains unbothered by the false reports of his demise. Let dem chat seems to be his energy as he tours internationally and preps for another high-profile summer appearance at Toronto's Caravana Festival. So, if you hear the rumors again, know this. Supercat's not just alive, he's live. Still fierce, still relevant, still rude. And if he really does have 9 lives, we're lucky to be witnessing every single one. Supercat's journey was never meant to be ordinary. From Kingston's gritty streets to ruling dancehall's golden era in the 80s and 90s, he redefined what it meant to be a lyrical warrior. With his machine gun flow, rebellious swagger, and a knack for turning patois into poetry, he carved a permanent name into reggae history. Tracks like Ghetto Red Hot and Dem No Worry. We weren't just hits, they were cultural blueprints, blending dancehall's fire with crossover appeal. But after a meteoric rise came a mysterious retreat. Legal troubles, industry politics, and a brush with death in '91 when he was shot and left for dead, all contributed to his long absence from the spotlight. While the dancehall scene evolved, Supercat stayed largely in the shadows, appearing only occasionally, like a phantom king reminding us of who built the throne. Fast forward to today, and Supercat is still very much alive. Just out of reach. While he hasn't released new music recently, his influence remains undeniable. Artists from Nas to Sean Paul to Damian Marley cite him as a major inspiration. He's a legend who doesn't need to chase the limelight. He is the light that newer stars still follow. If you enjoyed diving into Supercat's journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss more deep dives into the icons who shaped music history. Stay tuned and stay legendary.